Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Carrington, and you're listening to Call Talk for June 22nd, 2016. Today's topic is 5 keys to call center consolidation. All right, if you're listening live, I want to invite you to be a part of the show and ask questions. And the best way to do it is just to email me directly. My email is brian@benchmarkportal.com, and that's spelled out BRIAN @benchmarkportal.com. Of course, I want to remind you that we have all of our shows archived and available to listen to at any time that's good for you on our website at benchmarkportal.com. Navigate to the Call Talk section, and you'll see we have over 5 seasons of this episode just waiting for you to dial into. So let's go ahead and jump into today's show. It's my pleasure to introduce the host of Call Talk, Bruce Belfiore.
Thank you, Brian, and welcome back to Call Talk, everyone. I have a colleague on with us, Tim Rauschenbach, to speak with you regarding the 5 call center consolidation practices that managers should know. Now, the need to consolidate contact centers has various origins. Sometimes it's due to a corporate acquisition. Sometimes it's necessitated by a need to reduce costs and improve existing operations. And sometimes it's spurred by the adoption of new technology that makes efficiencies possible that weren't possible with legacy technology. Now, whatever the reasons, the decision to consolidate is a really important one. It needs to be based on clear-eyed analysis and needs to be planned and executed with care. It is true whether we are talking about the private sector, the government sector, or the nonprofit sector, and we've seen situations of contact center consolidation in all these areas, that you really think about it and plan it well. A well-done consolidation process will add great value, while a botched process will create more problems than it solves. And that's why we've brought in an expert on the topic for you, my colleague here at Benchmark Portal, Tim Rauschenbach. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm thrilled to be here today. Prior to joining your team, obviously I was a customer and a huge advocate for all the wonderful things that Benchmark does for its customers. So I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you for asking me to join you.
Okay, great. Well, we're excited about tapping into the great well of expertise that you have from your past experiences. And here Tim has over 30 years of experience working in the customer service field, serving in leadership roles both internally and within the BPO outsourcing sector. His role at Benchmark Portal is to help organizations improve business results by changing how they deal with customers. He looks at strategy, culture, marketing, interaction, and technology design, and all through the eyes of the customer. He started his career at Disney and had the opportunity to see the Disney Institute built from the ground floor. Great experience there. Later, Tim led UPS's customer service organization through their service transformation. And recently, Tim headed customer service at Amazon.com and led a team within Amazon that formed a customer experience roadmap that provided the highest customer experience and loyalty rankings in the history of the retail sector. So very, very accomplished. He holds a BS in Business Administration at Indiana State University. He also serves as a board member on a number of industry and charity organizations and is an author, speaker, and award recipient in customer experience and servant leadership. He has some unique experiences in the area of contact center consolidations, and he's here to share his insights with us today. So, Tim, let's start with the question, what organizations should look at consolidating their call centers and why?
Bruce, great question. Contact centers, as we know, are key enablers to an enterprise's successful operation who provide customer service. New contact centers are often established for an individual line of business, operational function, new ventures, or business growth. Many new contact centers can be established with little thought as to their fit and function within the enterprise, and organizations are moving quickly, they're expanding, and as new centers are opened, strategic planning often doesn't take place. The facilities may have been built without consideration for potential or future redundancies, which are ideally taken into consideration during the initial planning phases of building out a customer service organization. The negative results by many organizations include, wasted resources and money and replicated facilities and technology platforms. The keys to A successful consolidation solution is a disciplined, systematic approach that allows an organization to realize significant operating cost savings in their enterprise contact centers. And typical savings realized in a consolidation program, whether it be physical or virtual, can conservatively range from 10 to 20% of a company's total customer service operating budget.
Wow, that's a significant amount, Tim. And, in many organizations, in my experience, it remains a hidden opportunity because no one thinks to explore and analyze it. And to a certain extent, sometimes it's a kind of a painful decision because it means closing down things, and therefore there's the resultant impact on the personnel side that we'll talk about more later. But my guess is that there are numerous listeners to this program who have recognized that consolidation might be an opportunity for their operations and want to learn more on the how-to side. So, Tim, what steps should organizations take to build their consolidation plans?
Thanks, Bruce, for that question. Contact center consolidation really focuses on best practices in 5 primary areas. Resources, the number of employees that you staff, their salaries, and the structure of your resources. The second is facilities, your locations, capacity, and cost per square foot of your facilities. Third is technology, systems, applications, and your network include a few of those technology components. Processes is the fourth area. Industry standards that lead to continuous improvement within how you manage and block and tackle within your operation. And then fifth, culture, change management. How is the attitude for change going to be managed and accepted within your organization?
Okay. Those are great. That's a great list of best practices. Can you share some more details on each of them?
Sure. Bruce, I'll note that the above 5 elements, above those sit strategy and mission of the organization. The starting point for all analysis should be knowing who your customers are, what they want, and how your operation needs to organize to best serve those customers. So before I break those down a little bit more, I wanted to make sure that I noted that.
Yeah, no, amen, Tim. That's really, really important. And everybody listening to the program should take your words to heart. Have your mission statement on the wall, your strategy in front of you, and also in the back of your mind every step of the way on a project of this importance. Because if you actually do a consolidation that's not in line with your strategy and your mission and all that sort of thing, then you're going to really shoot yourself in the foot. If instead it's something that is supportive of the strategy and the mission, then it's going to be a great win for your organization. Bruce,
exactly. And then to initiate your consolidation effort, you need to conduct an operational assessment to identify and measure the financial and operating performance levels of multiple centers versus industry operating benchmarks. And the best way to do this is to benchmark each operation separately using leading industry benchmarking. You can then create a table of performance that shows the centers both against each other and against industry average metrics. It's key to understand exactly where you're at, what your current state is. This will give you valuable information as you make your decisions moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's great stuff, and so important because there are some people, some managers who kind of come up with the conclusion before they have the information and the evidence and all that sort of thing. And what you're saying is, no, the best thing to do is to get your analysis done properly and to have your information in front of you. And that way you're not sort of just doing what immediately comes to mind. Well, I think I should close this, and this center, and I should leave this, and this open. Because you may be, missing opportunities or, in fact, crippling your organization. You need to have the analysis properly done so that you can make the proper decision. So that's great. Then what? What comes after that, Tim?
Absolutely. Just to, reiterate a couple of your points, Bruce. Any solid leader, strong leader, or coach will say, it's all in the planning phases. Every game, every battle is won before it's fought, as they always say. So Your execution is only as strong as your plan. So then the assessment yields an objective baseline of your current operating environments, and then allows you to develop action plans that target personnel resources, potential technology enhancements, and facilities-related issues. From there, you should then incorporate both the financial and operational impacts of these action plans into a consolidation business case that provides the foundation for future initiatives and allowing your team to realistically forecast the financial and operational benefits of the consolidation, as well as systematically track and measure success in terms of key financial and other metrics of each initiative associated with the consolidation. The assessment and resulting business case focuses on operating costs relative to the amount you're spending on, things like personnel, technology, and facilities. During this assessment, you should identify potential opportunities for savings that can be achieved through a thorough analysis of your contact center locations, which include wages, physical environment, which include real estate costs, and pooled resources. These savings, when you incorporate those with incremental process and productivity operational improvements enabled by standardization and consolidation, establish a powerful business case for you with significant bottom line impact.
Yeah, the business case component is so important. It needs to be done up to standards that are going to pass muster with your left-brain financial colleagues, the bean counters, as well as your strategy folks, right, Tim? I mean, if you kind of come up with something that gets presented and then falls flat, then that's not going to work. If you have something that's really properly supported and you've kept in mind all of the constituencies that you're talking to, then you have something that's very, very solid. And obviously, we've worked with a lot of clients on these sorts of situations and are happy to do so with anybody who needs it. But very, very important to get this business case component done properly.
Absolutely, Bruce. To your point, related to stakeholders, you have to speak their language, and that's the key to getting buy-in. And in addition to the initial phases of the assessment, you've got and must identify short-term operational improvements that allow your team to instantly realize operational cost savings. Focusing on initial phases, your primary areas of focus include the percentage of cost savings you anticipate driving in each area and some of the specific areas where the cost savings can be achieved. This range of savings is proportional to the scope of the contact center operations. As we all know, the larger the organization and the more locations, and the greater the number of agents, the greater percentage of savings that can be anticipated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, those are all important components. And we also think about savings, which I know you're going to be talking more about, but also incorporate the costs so that you can get an ROI, a return on investment. So there's going to be the savings that you calculate. There's going to be the cost to get there, because there's always going to be some redundancy costs or close down costs or that sort of thing. Put that all in the mix, handle it properly on a mathematical and on a planning basis. You can come up with some really good ROI stuff. And in some cases, even EPS, get some earnings per share information for those corner office, numbers geeks, and you're their best friend for life after that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, very important to know what these savings can be.
Absolutely. And this important type of initiative, your chief financial officer being your best friend, is not a bad thing.
That's right.
So,
exactly. Doesn't happen every day, but it's good that when it does.
It's good to target that. And speaking his or her language is always important. And as you intimately understand the financial aspects of your budget, you'll see, if you already don't know, that resellers' costs represent between 60 to 70% of the average contact center operational budget. And when you think about consolidation and the savings opportunities within the areas that we've talked about, under people and structure, up to 10% to 20% savings easily, conservatively. And those include recruitment, hiring, and and base salaries. Those include attrition and retention costs. They include resource pooling and the span of control, which obviously through consolidation there's savings there. Combining hiring profiles and skill requirements, and then the significant costs associated to training. The next category under process and operations improvement, 50% savings or more, you'll see. Productivity standards, process simplification, workforce management efficiencies, common critical monitoring and reporting metrics, and customer segmentation, enterprise treatment strategies, all under process improvement savings. Next, we've got technology, significant savings up to 10% of your overall budget, if not more, through platform and network, through shared CRM, customer relationship management applications, customer self-service applications, improving call center and call routing efficiencies, and optimized combination desktop tools. And then other savings in your facilities, significant savings in facilities. Site selection impacts your base rate, availability, the attraction and retention of skilled pools of representatives and professionals and leaders and subject matter experts, the number and the cost per square foot within your operation, and the layout and design that improves productivity and retention of your operation. So all those aspects are important associated to where you're going to see the savings.
Right. And here's a place, too, where you can dig sometimes and find even more things than you knew were possible. It could be that, for instance, you're going to be closing down in an area that is high risk for things like hurricanes, and you're going to find that your insurance costs will actually go down in a significant way. And there may be also, you mentioned all of the workforce management implications, training, et cetera. Those things can be something that can add up in terms of your costs. So Dig a little, think a little, and see where there might be additional savings that could be important for you and for your business case. So this is great information. A lot of juicy numbers for the business case analysis. So very, very important. And so let's now move to the vital people and culture components that you mentioned at the beginning of the program. What should we be talking about there?
Sure. Well, Bruce, as we earlier noted, strategy and mission are key, and the foundation of strategy and mission within organizations are their culture, and it's key to the successful effort of the consolidation initiative. Many companies manage their projects by checking off the boxes of a project plan. They'll declare victory either when the new system is in production, process changes are implemented, or the organizational charts are redrawn. Projects should demonstrate real value and need to sustain the changes made. There are many questions to ask when considering call center consolidation. And one question that's often overlooked is, how's the attitude for change going to be managed within the organization?
Mm-hmm.
And that answer depends on both your company's culture and the environment. Key questions to ask. First one is, does your enterprise require a great amount of interdepartmental collaboration? Most do. Is face-to-face communication imperative to the success of the operation? Is document and file processing part of the communication? Does the organization support work from home? And, are all the executives and managers buying in? And have the champions and early adopters within your organization, have those roadblocks all been identified? As we know,
if I could just inject here that, I know that some people who've gone through these processes have spent quite a little bit of time on labor analytics to understand, what the different kind of employment basins are in greater detail so that they really understand who it is that they're able to hire in the area, what the competition is for those people, et cetera. And you mentioned at-home agents because that's something that should be put into the mix too. If you're consolidating, should you be thinking about work from home options as part of the overall plan? Could be, it turns out, very important for you and very useful in terms of both your financial and your operational planning. And then, another thing that is worth mentioning too is regional knowledge and relationships. In most cases, it's not that important where you're located, but in some cases, it may be important that you are able to supply people to the calling in customer base who know what it's like to be from your area, or a specific geographical area. So all those things need to be taken into consideration. But back over to you, Tim.
No, absolutely. Thanks for adding that, Bruce. It's critical, and as we know, being around for a while, you've seen it where it's been managed well, and you've seen the impact where all options aren't considered. So as you spoke about, at home representatives, all options should be considered and shared, that you've done all of your due diligence considering all options in a very objective manner versus positioning for one resolution. So that lets your leadership know how thoughtful and strategic that your thought patterns are. And as we know, change affects many people. Contact centers are constantly changing. And as we know, change isn't always easy for people. It's crucial to manage the change that each project creates for individuals and the company as a whole. And too often, leaders don't want to fund that change management. They feel as if it's not important, may not be that big of a deal, and that impact is minor and easily absorbed. It's really important to talk about other case studies and other organizations who have actually done that effectively, and the positive impacts of those, and those who have not, and how they've had to redo and start over in some cases, and some of the impacts that it's had. Sponsors within organizations adopt this attitude, whether or not it's accepted or not at your peril. If it's not accepted related to change management and culture, it's really important that you get out in front of it. Time after time, neglecting change management yields sub-optimized results, project delays, increased costs, reduced benefits, missed goals, and or reversions to previous states after a few weeks or a few months. If change management's not part of the consolidation or is considered irrelevant in your environment, you've got to get out in front of that and be an advocate for it. Find an approach that works for you and your culture, advocate the appropriate resources, and start applying it as early as possible. Being proactive, benefits everyone in the long run. You're going to see the difference it makes, and over time it'll become an inherent part of your organization's program of project management. Enlightened leadership teams are taking this approach and seeing greater efficiency through the results through consolidation. Culture and change management, again, should always be addressed with high priority.
Yeah, no, these are all great points. And I was thinking, too, that this is an important issue not only in North America but also throughout the world. We've seen situations in Europe where there's been a decision made to close down individual country centers and consolidate in a place like Brussels or in Ireland or something like that, or the UK, and just be able to find local resources with the language skills that are able to take care of them. But they have found that there's been good interaction among the people of different language groups being in the same office and being able to share their experiences and their knowledge management base, et cetera, and that there's been some really good things that have come out of that. Similarly, in Asia, we've seen the same sorts of things. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff can come out of there. So a question here, though, Tim. Is consolidation always the right answer?
Great question. It's not. And organizations sometimes recognize that. In some cases, they don't. I'll give you two case studies. Back in the mid-1990s, UPS's customer service centers were really all attached to their hubs across the United States, right next to their docks, and small customer service departments, 8 to 12 agents and representatives, and over 67 customer service centers around the United States at one time for UPS, all with different levels of technology. Believe it or not, different hours of operation. Service levels were very difficult to manage. And, FedEx had just come out with next day air, and UPS really realized that they needed to increase the level of service that they were providing to their customers, and really needed to consolidate and bring that all together in order to do so. So, and in their case, the consolidation process from going from 67 to 4 consolidated facilities and having those regionalized by time zone and for disaster recovery and redundancy and so forth were spread out to the United States. That was an obvious solution for them. And, it's all public information. There's a book written called Aiming High by Dr. and Colonel Jay Speckler, who actually was a consultant with them, called Aiming High. You'll see the case study of UPS and how they truly transform customer service and the significance and the operational savings there. So that was a case where the answer was yes. In a case where there's a state government agency that I've worked with years ago that they thought when they initially were talking to me, boy, Tim, we really need to consolidate. Customer service is really broken. We have 6 regions within our state. And after an evaluation, you really found out that the technology infrastructure didn't exist within the central office. There were close to 100 counties within that state being represented within those 6 districts. So when you think about it, there's already a great level of consolidation that already took place where one district was managing, 15 to 20 counties. Imagining having one center managing 100 counties with multiple weather patterns, multiple time zones, and all the challenges that each district may have from bordering on different states and so forth. And after doing an evaluation and a 100-day discovery process, it became evident, and we looked at a number of areas, operational and overhead expenses. It was less expensive regionally. One location, there was one benefit to consolidate. Expert agent versus a universal agent model. What level of voice of the customer did you need to have, and what was your technology from a CRM and learning management perspective? And from disaster recovery and redundancy for a statewide emergency, how are you going to be able to service your customers? And flexibility to adjust structure in the future. And they're providing levels of flexibility. So, that was in one case where, we actually made recommendations and implemented a successful customer service transformation by actually not consolidating in that case. So we did our due diligence with complete objectivity, and at the end of that analysis, actually built and invested in the 6 districts versus consolidating versus in UPS. We made the investment in consolidation, both very successful projects.
Wow. Yeah, no, here's a situation where, you need to look at both the dollars and the customer experience and what's going to optimize the situation based on your budget and your strategy and your mission. So great examples. Thank you very much for those. Those are very, very useful. So really good insights. I know that Brian has some questions that I think we have time for. Brian, can we toss it over to you?
Yeah, you bet. And perfect timing. Actually, I've got 2 great email questions that just came in. And the first one that I want to bring up fits really well with the question that you just asked, Bruce. So Janet from Wisconsin follows up with, how do I know if or when to consider call center consolidation?
That's a great question, Janet. Thanks for asking. I look at answering your question with you first seeking out to answer these questions internally. So if you happen to have a pen and paper, please jot these down. The first one, what's the level of revenue growth and call volume growth projected in the next 3 to 5 years within your organization? The second one would be, what goals does your company have regarding customer self-service? Customer self-service can dynamically change the model of your customer service organization. The third is, what measurable goals did your call center meet last year, and which didn't they meet, and what were the root causes associated to the ones that you achieved and the ones that you may have not actually had the level of performance that was expected of you, and are you on target to meet those goals this year? And what's the root cause associated to those? Do you feel that those are realistic goals this year? How are you being challenged? How are those goals defined? Were you part of the decision-making process? And if not, it's great to engage in conversations with your boss on those discussions. And the last question I ask of you to help you address that question that you asked is, what customer relationship management, call center technology enhancements has your company invested in? or they plan to invest in over the next couple of years? The answers to those questions, Janet, will assist you in determining if you should invest your time in interviewing key stakeholders to take that next step.
Great. And I want to remind everyone that's listening to the show that's being recorded, you can hit rewind and go back and write those questions down again. Those were really good, Tim. Thank you. Second question is from Grant from Dallas. And Grant is asking, if I've done my homework and determined the consolidation is the answer, however, I have not made progress in convincing senior management, what do I do?
Boy, Grant, I've been in your shoes before, and don't lose hope. You've got to go back and do your homework a few times, and let me give you a few steps to think about, and this can be part of your growth and relationship building with your senior management. And, ask either your boss if they're a key stakeholder, or an internal senior management stakeholder that you think is someone that's a mentor and a peer of yours that would be involved in this decision. And ask them what they would need to see in your recommendations for them to invest time in this initiative. Ask them to be specific. How does the organization make changes? What initiatives have been approved and which ones haven't, and why? Second, it's good to seek out peers, and a lot of times you may be a man on an island within your organizations, like many ladies and men who manage customer service. They feel they are managing customer service, where there's not a lot of folks within your organization that can really relate to what you do. So important to have a network. Go on to LinkedIn and find other folks that have similar job titles as you do through multiple organizations, and just seeking those individuals out. And find 2 to 3 peers that have actually gone through a consolidation process or considered consolidation, and ask them if they'd be happy to spend 30 minutes with you just to brainstorm. It's amazing how open folks are and peers are. They want to talk to somebody too. And who knows, it could create, a foundation for, a small user group that you put together for future conversations. But to stay focused on this topic, you'll learn a great deal from those conversations, and you'll also earn a great deal of credibility within your organization by doing that level of due diligence, by actually speaking to others. And the last step I would take, Grant, is to seek out a consultant who specializes in call centers, and also in call center consolidation. And, there's, discovery conversations that you can have. It doesn't mean that you need to seek out or make a recommendation to utilize a third party, but, they offer value in many cases, and they can offer you insight of things that you can do on your own, and value that they and others might be able to bring to your organization. By addressing those 3 specific steps, Grant, now you've got a solid foundation to map out your recommendations moving forward.
Okay, those are great. And coming from somebody who's worked with Disney, UPS, Amazon, state governments, and plenty of BPOs, et cetera, I think that's great advice. So, Tim, thanks very much for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bruce and Brian. It's a pleasure, and I've enjoyed connecting with all of you today.
Okay, great. Well, and again, reminder to everybody that they can download the podcast afterwards if they'd like, or listen to it on our website. And with that, I'd like to turn things over to Brian for the close.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Bruce, and thank you, Tim and Bruce. What a great show today. Very, very good show. A lot of good information there as well. So as Bruce mentioned, we have about 5 seasons of this show at our website, BenchmarkPortal.com. So make sure you click on Call Talk, and you'll find some of those shows there that you can download or listen to just off the website. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for today. I want to say from all of us at Benchmark Portal, keep those headsets steady and your fingers ready. This is Brian Carrington signing out. Have a great day. Holiday. That's a wrap. Take care.